What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Book 2. I'm your host, Mr. Ahamad. Thank you so much for coming back to my classroom. It's always a pleasure to have you here listening to me talk about books. But today, I'm not the one talking about the book. Well, at least not by myself. I got a very special guest.
Hey, I'm Jack.
Jack, what we reading, man?
Watchmen.
Oh, Watchmen by Alan Moore is such a great book. It's one of the best graphic novels of all time. It's actually aged pretty well considering when it was written and illustrated. But before I get too deep into those first impressions, here on this show, we compete for first impressions. We love books so much. And it's like what one of us say may influence the other on the idea. And I just need to know which of us are gonna get to speak first. How are we gonna figure this out?
Play a game of horse.
Whoa! Let's go. Jack and I are gonna talk about this book. But we love this book so much we gotta compete to talk about it. We're gonna play a game of horse.
Yeah.
Game of horse, but I couldn't get us into the actual basketball court. So it's gotta happen here. First one is just a set shot. Free throw. Good! Alright, go ahead, Jack, your turn. Oh! H! H for you. I'm gonna go from the corner. I'm gonna go from this side, from the corner. Whoa! Jack, I thought you were on the team, man!
I need to warm up. Get some warm-up shots.
Alright, let's do warm-up shots. You got O. Yeah, there we go. That's a shot. There you go. Okay. Oh, now I gotta do something different, huh? Alright, let's do this knee shot again. There we go.
On the knee?
Yeah, on the knee. Oh, that's R for you. There we go.
Sorry, what I missed.
No!
Oh! God.
It's S for you. Fade away in the sliding chair. Here we go. Oh! That's good. That's good. Ah!
Not even one.
Man, that game of horse, I had a blast.
It was just a tough day. We were ready.
Yo, if I got on the actual basketball court with you, I'm sure I wouldn't last. So it's okay. I'm gonna come see your game next year, and yeah, I'm not even gonna try it. But Watchmen, hold up this beautiful cover. This is a little higher for the camera to see. So this is one of the special editions, I believe. This same book was gifted to me by one of my best friends. His name is Jerome. We used to work together and we talked about comics. And this was the first one that he was like, hey man, comics are actually kind of serious. There's some good stories in there. You need to read Watchmen. So he loaned that to me and he just never asked for it back. It was just a solid gift. So this episode is gonna be dedicated to him. But this story, man, it's about, like this militia of vigilantes and superheroes and, they're trying to protect. But what happens when they get out of hand? And that's the question. Or what happens when the people that you have to answer to get out of hand? Are you going to try to decide what's right and wrong? Because, who really gets to decide that for a large population of people, right? And that creates this major conflict, and you get to see it over the course of time in a more realistic setting. So in the book, it's like as if Nixon had a second term or something like that. Yeah, and they talk about Vietnam and everything, and it's really violent, and it's very political, and the illustrations are done in a way where it feels even more real. So, brace yourself for high concepts in blood because it's all in there, and it's a great read. Jack, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, the artwork in it is it's really great, and just the way it's scripted. All around it's just a great book, and I like how it's like post-war and as if like Dr. Manhattan was really like
He was the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
That was dope. Yeah.
And like how it's just like all these things that were happening with superpowers and like superheroes, and it just seemed like so realistic to like actually happen.
Right. I like how they took them and put them in that world and gave them political alignment because in most superhero stories they're just trying to save everyone. Spider-Man doesn't go voting as Spider-Man. Right, he doesn't get on the mic and say what he feels. Sometimes you'll get some of that stuff with Superman. They actually did this whole Superman arc a while ago, where Superman renounced his American citizenship and he wanted to walk across the entire Earth so that he could meet new people and see what the politics were. It was convoluted. This is done way better. This is done way better. And I especially like what you said, that it felt so real. So. Before we had the Christopher Nolan Batman movies and stuff, before we had Marvel Comics trying to ground things and DCEU, we had Watchmen.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's just a group of heroes that they all just have different ideas of what they want to do, and like how they want to save people, and there's a bunch of inflictions in the book, and it's just crazy.
And that really gets into the theme of like, not just who watches the Watchmen is like one of the taglines and stuff about like who gets to choose good and evil. But like, no one thinks they're the villain.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're a good guy or girl, And what happens is that like those ideals are what send people to war. So even though this book is supposed to be, even though it's a comic and people may not have taken it seriously when it first came out, is that it's really commentating on what we see in our world. Like, what are some things in history that is like similar to that? Like aside from comics, like real things in history where people think that they're right, so right that they go to war for it.
World War II. I mean, you had Hitler thinking that like he had to get rid of this whole population of Jewish people and just make the world perfect. But in reality, I mean,
right? He thought he was saving people.
Yeah. Wasn't though.
Right, I know. Yeah, someone needed to tell him something, or they could have just let that kid do art, because he wanted to go to art school and his dad was really hard on him. So, if we're talking about comics and we're talking about, heroes, Jack, what I want to know before I go, who was your favorite character in the book?
Oh, this again, I can't say it.
Rorschach?
Rorschach.
Yeah, tell me why, because he's also my favorite character.
He just seems like he doesn't care. He's just trying to do what's right for people, even if it has to sacrifice lives. I mean, if he has to kill 10 people to save 100, he's gonna do it. Right. He just knows what he's doing, and he wants just to do the best thing.
I love how idealistic he is to like a fault. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is right, this is wrong, and it's black and white, and it's showing like his mask.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Oh, that was so great. So like he does, he's super brutal when he believes in something, like he's gonna go to war for it. Yeah. But he takes the time to investigate. That's something that I like about him. Like we were just talking off camera. We were talking about political analysts and people that we like and dislike, and liberals and conservatives and stuff. And one of the things we brought up was that like, you really can't say anything anymore without getting in trouble. So even more so, what people should be doing that we're not seeing is that people should be doing their research.
Yeah.
So they can pose questions before assuming something or before having such a firm belief. And Rorschach is a character that demonstrates that perfectly.
Who was your favorite character in the book?
Rorschach. Yeah. But my second favorite character, get Night Owl out of here. That guy was whack. I didn't care for him at all. This old time Batman guy. The older Night Owl I really like. The one who gets jumped in his garage. That was a brutal scene. Like I liked him just because he started it. But I really enjoyed Dr. Manhattan.
Really?
Dr. Manhattan was dope because
like before he was kind of like.
I liked him the whole time.
Really?
So I say this all the time in class. I was very much a square growing up. I was a nerd. I wasn't cool. And this guy was so much about his science. He was so much about, his academics and putting his brain to use, that he became so absorbed by that. And then that was him. Mm-hmm. It was just the math, the science, the finding solutions. So I thought it was cool to have this character who had difficulty fitted in, but once he got that power, became so cold, so calculated. And it was like, well, hey, look, man, it's not really his fault. The world kind of did that to him. is what I thought, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
So his powers are pretty dope too.
Everything.
Just shooting people and stuff, blasting them, he's making clones. He goes to Mars. That's
Instantly, you can just go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's just like if I had one power, literally, I've always had a problem with being late to places. Like teleportation, instant transmission. Hit them with the Goku, hit them with the Dr. Manhattan, the Nightcrawler, whatever you want to call it. That's what I want. What would your superpower be?
Probably flying, honestly. I mean, I just seem so cool, like just going through like the clouds, just going like 100 miles per hour. I don't care. That just sounds awesome.
That'd be pretty dope. I'll tell you what I didn't like about this book. Like, I love this book and it's a classic, but man, that stuff with the pirate, what? Like, I know enthusiasts and purists of this book, like they can tell me everything about it. But when I read this when I was like, 17, 18 or whatever, I cared nothing about that pirate. Take me back to Rorschach, take me back to Dr. Manhattan.
I skipped all that.
I skipped it too. I still haven't read it. I skipped it too. The notes and stuff. I thought Alan Moore likes to do that as a comic book writer. He likes to be really dense, and sometimes I just can't go for it. I wanted to get back to the art.
The part I really liked in the book was when Rorschach.
Yeah.
A part I really liked in the book was when Rorschach he got caught and he got sent to jail. And they were interrogating him, and they showed him all the pictures of like the black and white images, and they'd ask him what he'd seen in them.
Right.
One picture, he was like, "Oh, I see 2 dog heads." It takes him back to like the first time he killed someone.
Right. Yes. I totally forgot about that.
I thought that was so cool, and like how he gave him the option to he just gave him a saw. He stays there and dies in the burning house because he chains him up and he burns the whole house down. So it's either he got to cut off his own arm and crawl out, or like he just burns down the whole house.
Yeah, there's this part he bit this kid's face off or something.
Oh yeah, right there. That's where it is.
Yeah.
He was younger, and like they were like making fun of his mom, like calling his mom like all these names.
Right. So it's essentially Rorschach's origin story. It's this part of the book. And you know what I like about it? Going back talking about the politics and all that stuff, and Alan Moore being so dense, is that you get this doctor who's in there helping Rorschach, and Rorschach calls him on his BS. He's like, you don't want to help me, you just want your name to be in the papers for cracking this case. He's like, there's nothing to help me with, this is just who I am, but you need to stop fooling yourself. See, you think you're good people. Oh, that was so good. No one thinks they're the bad guy. He takes this guy who's presented as being so, I think the word is altruistic, who's supposed to be so good, so benevolent, and he calls him on it. He's like, nah, you're a bad dude. So like what's good to one person might be bad to someone else. Just like the Watchmen movie. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
I liked it better than the book. I just thought it was like the ending just made more sense. It kind of just like wrapped it up better.
Right.
And like a giant squid in New York.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this book is old though, so like everyone should know. Like this this giant squid, the octopus, whatever you want to call it, was
had to like fight to like defeat it.
Yeah, it is blue, so everyone thinks it's Dr. Manhattan. But it makes more sense for them to say like Dr. Manhattan released all these nukes, he's bombed this place because it was in alignment with his powers. Yeah, that was more believable. It felt more real. I will say, so I love the art in this book, but Rorschach's fight scene coming out of the apartment, he has to go through all the police officers. And then when he gets to jail, he breaks the dude's like finger through the prison. All that was, yes, perfect. That was good. That was a great adaptation. It was a great translation. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the purpose of the Watchmen movie wasn't to make a superhero movie, but they wanted to do a one-to-one translation of a comic to the screen. So like every movie that we've seen, MCU, DCEU, Batman, Hellboy, all those things, everyone's been like, it's an adaptation, so things are gonna be different, just accept it.
Yeah, but like the book and the movie were just like really similar.
Right, because they purposely wanted to make it as close as possible. So it was the only thing is like the war room and the pirates, those are things that just had to change. So yeah. Watchmen is a bona fide classic. It has set trends for so many comics, not just the funny ones, not just the serious ones, but definitely both. Even something like, I don't know which came first, but like Batman Year One or Hush or I don't know, any of those other serious books. And Watchmen had a hand in it, so I really liked it. But Jack, what do you think?
I just thought the book was like, I never read a graphic novel before.
What? Really?
Yeah, this is my first one.
I had no idea. No wonder why your eyes lit up when I brought it out. You're like, I want that one.
Yeah.
I would have put you in something different.
I
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
even know they were like a thing. Like it was like a comic that was like a novel. And I just really enjoyed it. I mean, the story was amazing. The artwork was crazy. Just all around the book's amazing. I feel like if you aren't like really, you don't really know what you're into, but like, even if you do know, I still think you should try this book because I mean, it's got like a lot for everyone who would enjoy anything.
I just got the most goosebumps because I'm geeking out. I just like sharing books. And for me to share this with you and that be your first exposure, it just makes me so happy. This is a great way to end the year for me. But also it's a great way for us to tell you that Watchmen, should have book, is definitely a story worth sharing. It's amazing.
Yeah.